What's your name, sir?
My name is
Omar?
Armand.
Armand. Nice to meet you.
When I think about how education impacted me, I had great teachers who always believed in me, and they really imparted a message that if I believed in education, that my life would be better than it started. I'm confident that it meant the difference for me between ending up in California State Prison and instead ending up as California State Superintendent.
Tony Thurmond is California's newest superintendent of public instruction, guiding education policy for the state's 6 million students. He was inaugurated in January 2019 in front of a crowd at Sacramento's McClatchy High School.
To which our children are entitled.
I will not back down.
I will not back down.
California is immensely lucky to have a talented, committed, and savvy leader like Tony Thurmond leading the Department of Education and fighting for our youth. Welcome to Sacramento. Welcome to everybody. Welcome, Superintendent.
But it wasn't an easy road to the office. Thurmond was in a contested and expensive race for the position against charter school executive Marshall Tuck, with the results too close to call for days after the election.
My campaign for state superintendent was certainly the toughest race that I've had in politics, and I've always had tough races, but I never lost faith. I always believed that if you put forward what your vision is for helping young people, that everything will work out the way it's supposed to.
What makes him well suited for this position is that he has a lived experience that's unique and unlike any other superintendent. I mean, he's Afro-Panamanian. He's lived an experience in which he was orphaned and he had to be raised by, his cousin that he had never met. And so education to him is very personal.
My cousin raised me, and she kept me out of the streets, and she kept me out of trouble. And she always made sure that we had the best education that we could possibly get.
My mom was real sick, and my mom had cancer, and when I was 6 years old, my mom lost her battle to cancer, and my dad was not in the picture, so I ended up growing up in Philadelphia.
Thurmond graduated from Temple University in Philadelphia before returning to the Bay Area, where he became a social worker. That led to seats on the Richmond City Council and School Board, then the State Assembly, and finally, State Superintendent.
I've been very fortunate to be in a position to work with young people, to help them get a second chance, to help them get strong after-school programs and mentoring programs. It's my mission to serve young people.
Today, Thurmond is meeting with students at Valley High School in Sacramento, involved with a program called Improve Your Tomorrow.
So I showed up for the food, but then I started to really understand the mission of the program, and that was to get young men of color to and through college.
Over the next 4 years, Thurmond says he wants to focus on those students who are often too easily overlooked. He also wants to reform school budgets at a time when school districts like Sacramento are facing a budget crisis and teachers are striking in cities across the state.
California still is 41st in the nation in per pupil spending, even though California is the 5th wealthiest economy in the world. We have to change that. And we always say that the kids are our future. We have to act like it. And my top priority is increasing revenue for our schools, closing our achievement gap, closing our teacher shortage. How do you learn when you don't have a well-trained and qualified teacher at the head of every class?
These reforms are more than Thurmond's political platform. They're also personal. He has 2 daughters attending public schools.
There are times when I felt like if a teacher or staff person is going to be so difficult to me, how are they going to treat other parents who don't know how to advocate for their children? And so we've got to work through the bureaucracy and the barriers that impact our educational systems.
He's not a figurehead. He's actually boots on the ground, and he's rolling up his sleeves, and he knows what's happening at the department, and he wants to be helpful personally.
At the end of his term, Thurmond says he hopes to increase the state's per pupil spending, putting the state on a trajectory to someday be the first in the nation.
I think there's so much more that we can do in this state, and I'm excited that the voters have given me the opportunity to do it.
On average, states spend more than $12,000 in per-pupil spending when adjusted for regional costs. Vermont has the highest per-pupil spending in the nation at more than $20,000. Utah spends the least at about $7,000 per student. In California, per-pupil expenditures are a little over $9,000.